In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish flay dress. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. And this dress is from Sassy Apparel. Paper, and I've gone ahead to mark out my measurements. So for this particular pattern, I'll be marking it in a miniature size. So here's my shoulder to bust, under bust, waist, and then mark 7 inches or 8 inches to get your hip point and your gown length. Now, go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and come down by 1 inch. So after marking that, place your ruler on that your shoulder slant connects all the way up. Next is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll draw a straight line there. Whatever you have on the shoulder, mark it on your chest line, place your ruler, and you're going to connect this all the way up. After this, you're going to go ahead to place and divide your armhole into 2. At the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now, I'm going to connect from the midpoint to the upper part of my shoulder and all the way to the chest line of my pattern. Now, after I'm done marking this, the next step I'm going to take is to mark my dart. And to mark my dart, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now, my actual nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2 will give me 3.5 inches, which you'll be marking all the way to the total length of this dress. After marking this to the end of your dress length, what you do is to place your ruler and draw a straight line all the way going down to your gown length. Now, the next step is to go ahead to mark your dart intake. So for my dart intake, I'm using 1 inch on both sides. If you're plus size, go ahead to use 1.5 inches on both sides and connect. If you're also on the busty side, you'll be using 1.5 inches. Mark this all the way to the gown length, and you're going to go ahead to place your ruler to connect and also connect at the other side of your pattern. Now place your ruler, connect from the bust to the under bust, and also connect at the other side of your pattern. So this is what I have here. Now decide where you want your dress to start. Let's say I'm using 1.5 inches above my chest line, and I'll rule a line. Go back to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and connect it down. And also go ahead to mark your dart intake of 1 inch on both sides, or if you're using 1.5, go ahead to mark that and connect. After I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to outline. Next, I'm going to insert my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. So for the dart intake, picked the dart at the over bust and I replaced and then added a sewing allowance. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace, and add a sewing allowance. So your sewing allowance should not be that much. Here, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4. Then measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. At the hip, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, I'll replace and add my sewing allowance. What I have on my hip, I'll take it all the way down. So I'm just going to connect my pattern starting from the bust, under bust, waist, and hip of this dress. Then from the hip, I'll take it all the way down to the lower part of this pattern. So I'll also go ahead to outline this pattern this way. Now from the armhole, I went up by ½ inch. Now we're going to go ahead to add an extension to the side to give it a flay effect. So you can add like 6 inches and connect from your waistline all the way to that point. Now to give it that roundish effect or curvy effect, come up by 1 inch or 1.5 and connect all the way to this point. So after marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to extend it all the way to the sides of my pattern and I will connect. So after this, I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern first. So if you have any question regarding this pattern drafting, please kindly go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. So for this pattern, if you want, you can use a bust dart, but I'm just making it a beginner friendly pattern. So this is what I have after I'm done drafting out. So what you're going to do is to make a strap that will be coming from the side to the back of the neckline. This will be serving as the sleeve for this dress because it's a backless tube flay dress. Now let's go ahead to draft out the back pattern of this dress. So I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurement I need for this pattern, which I marked the shoulder to bust, shoulder to waistline, and blouse length. So I added the zipper allowance just to make sure it will be easier to understand, because if I draft it without a zipper, it might be a bit confusing. So after marking out this, I'll start by marking my darts. I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to be marking this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. Now after I'm done marking, I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and draw out a straight line connecting all the way to the lower part of my pattern. Now the next step is to mark my dart intake, and for my dart intake I will mark ½ inch on both sides of my pattern, and I'll go ahead to connect this up and connect at the other side. So from the waist I'll connect all the way going down towards the lower part of the dress, but make sure it doesn't touch the hip. Now I will mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way down, and whatever you have on the hip, extend it all the way to the lower part of your pattern. So as I'm cutting this now, when you're making yours, please don't use much sewing allowance because you're going to add like an extra flay by the side, so you don't need it to be bulky. I went up by ½ inch at the chest line, and I'll go ahead to place my curved drew and I will connect this. So after I'm done connecting this is what I have. And to give you that flay or conical effect by the side of this dress, I'll go ahead to add extra 6 inches to it. So just like I said, you can use extra 4 to 6 inches to your pattern depending on how free you want it to be, right? Now I'll connect to that point, and from these points at the upper part I'll outline my pattern. Just go ahead to readjust what I have here to suit me. Now I'm going to come up by 1 inch or 1.5 to give it that slight curve. Then I'll connect it to the midpoint of my pattern. So after I'm done drafting, this is what I have at the back pattern, and I'll just go ahead to cut this out first. But mark your zipper bulge, mark ½ inch here, extend it down, and also extend it all the way to the upper part. Then go ahead to cut out your pattern. At this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also leave your comment at the comment section. So I'll just go ahead to cut this out and cut out the dart areas of my pattern. So also remember, you'll be joining these back together, right? So this is what I have here. So after I'm done drafting, this is what I have for the back pattern. So go ahead to attach your strap, and we have come to the end of today's video. If you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead to click on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.